What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're doing a Q&A with Mr. Dylan Haugen here.
Sir.
We're going to go through some questions, see what you guys asked, and then we're just going to answer them as best as we can. There's some that are going to be a little tricky. Some are going to be a little bit longer, but we're going to get through as many as we can. And then he's also going to be doing a video on his channel as well, so go check that out when that comes out.
Sir.
But we're just going to get started with it.
All right, first question from Mr. Dom Dunks is, how has God impacted your life in dunking and on social media?
You want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I'd say that it has definitely impacted me a lot. I was not like a super strict Christian until last year. And then I really started taking it more seriously. For dunking, I'd say that it's helped me a lot because, like, just it helps build self-discipline, helps build good habits, and it's just really helped me like stay focused on my goals and whatever, but then also just like try to live best way possible. So then for social media, actually, person who asked this question, Dom Gonzalez, actually helped me a lot in my journey for like being a Christian on social media. I used to post a lot of videos using audios that sweared and stuff, and one thing that Dom does is that he posts a Bible verse in his description of every single video. And I kind of had like this realization basically that like when I post something, it's like, it's not really, you basically get nothing out of it, right? So I was like, how can I make videos and still try to have like good intentions behind them and spread the gospel? So I talked to Dom about it. He kind of helped me out, like how he was doing it, how he was getting the verses and whatever. And not only do I include Bible verses on every post, but it also encourages me to read the Bible more and just, find verses, but also just, study it too. So yeah, I'd say that has definitely helped me a lot.
I'd say obviously a lot of it's kind of going to be similar, but for me, I grew up in a Christian household. My grandpa used to be a pastor, so I used to always go to church that way, but then I kind of fell out of it. And then I met up with him back in September for our first dunk session, so this would be the third one now, but kind of taught me some social media stuff, and then also got in the brand of Revelation, which we're both wearing right now and repping, which is a Christian clothing brand that his friend is an owner of. He does the social media stuff. So obviously that kind of got me more into it as well. And then obviously my family having the background being Christians, I go to church with them every Sunday now. And then with dunking, it's helped me a lot just with like trying to, how do I want to explain it? Like having the confidence, and then also just knowing that he's on my side and he knows the plan that I have for dunking. So even if I do get injured or if there's a hiccup in the road, I know it's part of his plan and it's not to put me down or anything. It's to be a lesson.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing that I learned about that, is just it's all God's plan. It's not mine at all. Like I know I have my goals and stuff, but he's truly the one that's going to be being able to fulfill that. So yeah. That's one of the biggest things that I took out of it. And then obviously with him being really good with social media, he taught me about putting the Bible verses and stuff like that. And then also with the music and stuff like that is just trying to use, it's hard in this generation just because.
One thing I'll say, which I've definitely had problems with, I'm sure he has too, is it's very hard to make, videos with like videos that have the chance to go viral, but also not use like worldly music and stuff. Yes. So a lot of the time you have to kind of sacrifice for each side because, we want to do good and spread the gospel through our videos. But then also if you use like certain sounds that are just not as popular because Christian music hasn't really taken off fully yet, sometimes you basically give yourself, no chance of it blowing up if you use it. So, you kind of got to sometimes use sounds that aren't perfect, that you wouldn't necessarily want to use, but you kind of like have to give it a chance to do something, and hopefully be able to spread something good out of it too. So that is definitely a struggle.
It definitely is, because again, in this generation, obviously there's a lot of worldly things, and it's getting better now. Like I see a lot more kids actually wanting to like actually show their faith through either like the clothing that we wear or through music, or if it's through other stuff. But so I'm seeing a lot more on social media about the Christian aspect of it. Obviously, it's because I'm obviously towards more of the Christian stuff, so I'm seeing it more. I'm liking it more. I'm more engaged in it. So that also helps, but also just everybody's kind of coming together. And I think, obviously, with the Christian music, I think it's going to be blowing up in the next year or so.
That's what I was just going to say. I really can't wait for it to blow up, because then it'll take away a lot of problems.
Exactly. So also that's another thing, is the music, just worship music, and then just some of the, like, because that's the other thing. I grew up on rap and like this pop stuff, so it was hard for me to kind of transition into more of the Christian like stuff. So that's why a lot of it is, a lot of people would put out like rap and hip hop kind of Christian music. Like obviously the worship music is really good, and that's like partially my favorite, but like the hype aspect of like dunking and stuff, it's kind of hard to kind of get away from the worldly music and into the more Christian stuff. So I'm liking that it's kind of going to more of a hip hop and like rap stuff, because I think that's truly what's going to actually help kids and people in this generation move towards being a Christian and actually being like not lukewarm anymore. So that's another problem I had. I was more of a lukewarm Christian, still working on it now, but I feel like my faith has gotten way better. And just being with a bunch of these group of guys like Dylan, like Dom, those are like my two like best friends with dunking now. And obviously we're all Christ followers, and we obviously are trying to get the gospel out there. So obviously that I'm very, very thankful for those guys to be in my life and to be able to have this opportunity to dunk, and then also show the world what God is. So
that was a pretty long question, obviously, but it's a pretty important one.
It's definitely a very important one, the most important one, I think.
For sure.
But
that's why we wanted to start off with it. But
so great question, Dom. Really appreciate that one. So,
all right, you want to pick one, or you should just?
I would say
Corey's.
Yeah, we could do Corey's. So,
all right. So Corey, Rise Above It All, said Dylan tips on double ups, Hunter tips on lobs. So, tips on double ups. I am probably not the perfect person to ask, but.
Help me, so.
He actually hit his first double up before I did, but I did kind of teach him how, so there is that.
He did it on low rims way before I even try to attempt it, so.
One thing that you have to learn on double ups is that double ups are a push-off dunk, so you have to learn how to do the push-off correctly, and if you can do that, then it's going to be super, super easy. Like, I remember I would always try to do double ups, and basically the thing that I would do is I would jump, and then I would go like this with the ball, right? I was just trying to like jump over the person and grab the ball, and you get no push. So you're basically just jumping forward because you want to clear the person, and what you really want to do is just jump on top of the person, because no matter what, since you're running towards it, you have forwards momentum, so the chances of you landing on top of the person, very small. So you just kind of want to jump onto the person and basically go like this and push down onto the ball, and then kind of move your hands a little bit and bring it up. So, and the same thing for double up East Bay. That is another thing that I learned. I would always go with one hand, and he actually did the same thing.
Yep.
We would go with one hand, so we were getting no push off. Basically, you can get a push off with one hand, but it's a lot harder. You can't get as much. So I was going like this all the time. I was falling to the side, and I just was not getting high enough. And then first session that I switched to doing two hands, so I would go push and then switch to one hand, transfer. I hit it. Like, I was like not even close.
Yeah, I hit mine first try, going to two hands. I went from one hand from September up until December. Yeah. And then I had a session with Brandon Shaw, part of my dunk squad. Yeah. And I picked it I went up with two and just transferred it to one.
It takes
I just punched it. So
it takes away a lot of the variability. Like, you can lose it a lot easier, but you're also getting way higher and still getting the transfer. So
one thing I'll also say that he didn't touch on is some people hold the ball like this, try to get them underneath, because you do push down, but also you're kind of grabbing on the side because you start here like this, and then you kind of go to the side. So
that's a great point. The biggest thing for me, the thing that depends on whether I hit a double up that day or not, is normally not me, it's the holder. It's like, if I can get the person to do it the way that I want them to, chances are I'll make it. And if they're like a little bit scared or they're just not able to do it, then I'm probably not going to hit it. So, I mean, yeah, you want them, a lot of people kind of hold it like this, basically. You want it basically just on top of your head.
And then also
so, like,
elbows
in, and stand up straight generally.
You can get a wider.
If you hunch over, like it's a lot harder to get a push off, and it's honestly more dangerous. So
and you can get a wider base too, just to get more sturdy. But also with the thing about going like this, try not to go down if you're being the person that's holding it, because again they're pushing down on you. So if you're pushing down and you're pushing down as well, then they're gonna start going like this and they're gonna lean forward more. So try to stick your ground the whole time.
A lot of people get scared on that push off that you're gonna like land on them, so they kind of hunch down. And if you are the holder and you just hold your body straight the entire time and they push down to you, it's literally just like trampoline basically. Yeah. So he also said hunter tips on lobs. So
one thing for me is just I've always been low rimming as a kid, so I kind of figured out on my own. But so again, it's a lot of reps, like with anything. Everything takes reps. It's not gonna. I mean, sometimes it can come naturally, but a lot of it you have to work for it. So just a lot of reps with that. But also, what I kind of figured out to help people is if you have some type of line or a mark on the floor that you can consistently throw to. It depends on obviously which dunk too, because there's different heights you want the lob for. But if you're just going for a one-hander, let's say, you wanted to find a place on the ground that you can consistently hit every single time so it goes in the same place. And then you can keep looking. So sometimes what I do is I'll look at the place I'm trying to go, and then I look at the rim, and I keep going back and forth until I feel comfortable, and then I just throw. And that's the other thing. It's more of a feeling thing than really anything. Like now I'm just so used to it that I can just go throw it and go get it and I can readjust. But if I'm trying to teach somebody, I would say look for something on the ground, and then also the lob itself, like the height of it also matters, because again, you want to be catching a lot of the lobs almost above head height. You never really want to catch here because that's going to cause your arm swing to shorten. So you kind of want to, obviously, you have to have more hang time to do that, but also that's going to give you more momentum on the ball. Yeah. So those are like the only like couple things I would say. I don't really think I can think of anything else. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this was a question for him, but I'd say my lobs are good enough to touch on it. Yeah, one thing that I would say, and this applies to almost everything in dunking, is that if you're not good at something, a lot of people that aren't good at like a certain thing will just not do it, right? Like if there's someone that struggles with a windmill, they'll try it one time and they'll be like, oh, I look stupid doing that. I'm never going to do it again, you know? And it's very similar for lobs. Dribble dunks are technically like, you know, it's easier for some people, but if you can do a lob, it's way easier. Like if you can figure out how to do your lob. So the biggest thing I will say is don't go into it being like, okay, I'm not good at lobs. That just means I'll just never do them. Just do them all the time and you will get better at them.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, again, a lot of people try to find, you know, one really quick thing that they can fix and then boom, it's perfect. That's really not how it's going to be for a lot of the time. So just go out and do it a ton and just kind of figure it out on the way, to be honest.
That's the thing. Like I said, he obviously low rimmed as well, but I just figured it out on my own. I just was up there just throwing the ball and going to go get it. I didn't really have anybody to teach me because I didn't really know about the dunking scene at the time.
That is another good point, is that on low rims, your lobs don't need to be perfect because you can jump very high and you can just go get it. So, I mean, that is good to practice on low rims.
Yep. Low rimming is one of the best things to do.
The only thing you need to do, basically.
Really. So.
All right. We'll go to a question from Hunter's dad here.
Yeah.
What is the hardest dunk to get to date? I assume just talking about like in general.
I mean, we could do in general and then like what we think like for us, because obviously like at the time right now, like obviously later down the line we can
we can start with us. So for me, hardest dunk I've done. Well, definitely between legs, I guess. It's really the only dunk that's like, you know. Well, I guess I've done one other dunk that's advanced, which is like the 360 windmill pump thing.
360 windmill.
So those two are probably both of mine, although I'm getting pretty consistent, not like hitting them, but like I'm very close every session to those two.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you've hit what, 4 East Bays now? 3 or 4?
I've hit 4 East Bays and 1 double up East Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've, back room countless others. So, yeah.
So yeah, for me, it has to be under both. I mean, you could argue off the backboard East Bay, but I just think under both is just under both is just, I think, harder in my opinion. Just because, again, part of it is with the back. It's called a backbreaker for a reason because you have a lot of flexion, and then you're extending as well in a very fast motion. So it really hurts that way. But just trying to get it underneath both legs is hard enough because you have to push up really, really hard.
Yeah, the thing about it for him is that I'd say that he jumps high enough basically every single session to do it. But, like, even though his form for it is insanely good, it's like still, if you mess up the tiniest thing, you don't want to do it more than a few times in a session. So it's basically like he makes it within 3 tries or he's not really going to do it.
Another thing is that I kind of can go off of what Corey's question was, is with my lobs, is I catch everything with one hand. So that makes it even more difficult because, I mean, technically catch it with 2 and then transferring is technically longer, but I just feel more comfortable with 1. I feel faster with it, so I catch everything with 1, except for like a windmill or something.
I'd say you jump higher with 1-hand catch, but 2-hand catch is technically easier, but you don't get as much time in the air.
Exactly. So I just like 1 hand just because I've been doing it that way the whole time. So I just feel more comfortable that way. But I've got, again, countless back rims, front rims, you name it. Like, there's been so many close times, and I've hit that dunk twice now. Same with off the backboard East Bay, I've hit twice now. Yeah. So I would say those two are probably kind of neck and neck, but I'd say under both a little bit ahead of it. But
hardest dunk all time, anyone?
Should we say what's been hit and then what hasn't been
what's been hit? Yeah, what's been hit. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, right? Yeah. 360 kamikaze.
It's that.
I mean, there's even if you just consider the amount of people that have done it on low rims.
I can't even do it on a 7.5 foot rim. I've tried it. I mean, obviously it's my opposite
I tried
plant, but
for 2 hours straight and did it 1 time, and I think I'm one of like the only 10 people who's ever.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what rim height. If you can do it on a 7.5 foot rim, that's still really good. Yeah, there's so much you have to think about. It's
insane.
If you even just try it on the ground, it's hard to do. Like, I can barely get the transfer just to my other hand because it just hits my leg.
Yeah.
And then you have to do that in the air, which is just insane. And then with a 360.
Yeah. Dunks, I'd say, like, everything else, I'd say is pretty far behind that one. Even like Lost and Found.
I was about to say Lost and Found.
Super hard, but it's still been done like multiple times. And kamikaze, actually, Isaiah's done it twice.
What do you think about, what was this one where Jordan did this one where you put it over his shoulder? Is that what that's called? Yeah. No, not the Venom. He did it with 1 hand.
No, that's just a Lost and Found. I'm pretty sure. That's Lost and Found, and the other version is 360 Lost and Found.
But also the Venom one's pretty.
The Venom one's
that one's pretty crazy.
The Venom one's tough. He's the only one who's done it, but I wouldn't say it's the hardest because I'm pretty sure he's done it twice, maybe. He just didn't post it because it was not, I don't know. He's crazy, man. But
I'd say insane. Definitely. Like, I don't think there's anything kamikaze. Close to that
stuff that hasn't been done.
Double East Bay. 360, or technically a double or a 360.
Any version of double East Bay. Yeah. What else?
Because Jay Clark hit it, but it was on 9.9.
9.8.
Or it was 9.8. I thought it was 9.9.
9.8 with a feeble ball.
Was it? I thought it was 9.9.
Maybe, I don't know. So.
But like with what Isaiah and Jordan do, they're doing a 360 double East Bay.
That is by far the hardest.
That would be.
I can confidently say Jordan will hit that this year. Maybe not, but I'm pretty confident.
Dude, he was close at camp. Dude, he front rimmed it and it went up. He didn't even get bottom rimmed. It was front rimmed and up.
He was even closer at the Florida session.
Yeah,
Isaiah hit 50.
Yeah.
So yeah, those two, 360 behind between hasn't been done either, but I'd say that's considerably easier than double tween.
Yeah.
Because you have to think about double tween is that you basically have to do a between. It's not really a between. It's more of a between tamala because you have to go like this and then you have to switch legs
to the other side. Yeah.
Super hard. So yeah, those two for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really think of anything else that hasn't been like hit. That's like really, really, or that hasn't been hit. That's
720 pump. That was crazy.
Yeah. You go to a different question now. Let's see here.
This one?
Yeah, we can do that.
End goal for dunking is the question. What is your end goal for dunking? I don't really know. I mean, I don't really have like a specific end goal. You know, I think a lot of people kind of limit themselves with their end goal. I just want to be as good as frickin' possible. So,
Yeah.
you know, I want to get, I would say, you know, some like clear milestones are 50-inch vert, because that's like, you know, on the brink of impossible. But then everything else is just, you know, hit every single dunk possible. I mean, there's not really, I don't really have a limit on like, you know, I want to hit, you know, this dunk and that's it.
Yeah.
So just everything.
I mean, for me, funny story is that before I started like really getting into dunking, I made a goal that under both was like my end goal dunk.
And you hit it like a year
and
later.
I hit it in a year. So I had to get a bigger goal than that. But like, obviously I wasn't too big in the dunk scene either. So like, I didn't really know like a lot about it at the time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I just kind of threw it out there. But that was like my like end goal dunk, or like the dunk I really, really wanted to hit. Like East Bay was another one, but like that was like the, I guess you could say, end goal. But for me, again, 50-inch vert. And then, I mean, I guess just trying to be one of the best dunkers in the world, if not the best dunker in the world.
Yep.
Like that's obviously a huge goal. And then just killing it in dunk session or dunk contest. Like I really want to be in a dunk contest, like a FIBA one or something, just like not like a local one or whatever, like something that's actually well known. And there's a lot of like pros in it. Like that would be something that would be really,
bro, like beating a pro in a dunk contest,
like,
or like a pro that you like grew up watching.
Yes.
I guess that would be crazy. But
so that's like another big goal that I have right now, is just 50-inch vert, dunk contest wins, and then trying to be the best dunker in the world is basically what I would say would be like the end goal dunks, or end goal for that. But yeah.
All right. So next question is, why do you love dunking? I'd say it's different than basketball. I grew up, basketball was my first love, probably. But you know, there's a lot of things in basketball that you can't control, you know, and I feel like dunking is different. You know, it's like a solo sport. Not that I don't like, you know, being on a team. Like I love all the teammates that I've played with, but it does, you know,
there's a factor to it.
It's a big factor to consider.
Also,
and dunking,
coaches.
Yeah, coaches too.
Coaches get started on that.
Yeah, I'm not even going to be talking about that on here. But yeah, you know, dunking, you can control everything, right? Like, you know, if you lose a game in basketball, you can always blame it on the refs, the coaches, your teammates. And in dunking, it's more just like, you know, you didn't get somewhere, it's your fault. Like, live with it, learn, and come back and do it again. And
Exactly.
so yeah, I'd say that's the biggest thing. I feel like I have control over everything that I do, and I feel like there's also a lot more opportunity for it. Like, you know, me making the NBA, very small chance. Me making, even if I train like super hard, making the NBA very low. But if I train that same amount, the chances of me being a pro dunker, pretty good, to be honest.
Exactly. And then to go along with that, us two, being the young kids that we were, trying to low rim dunk all the time. And we were, again, I played basketball too. That was my first love as well. But we were being kids and just having fun with it with our friends, or just by ourselves, just low rim dunking. And that's kind of how like I kind of grew into it. And then also, if you're a basketball player, I guarantee you want to be able to dunk on 10 feet one day. So that's also kind of like another thing that was like a goal of mine, is just, if you're a basketball player, you want to be able to dunk. It's just, that's just no question about it. And then why I love it is just, part of it is just, again, you can control it, but also for me, it's creative. Kind of put out a creative side, and then I can think of different ideas, like with social media. That's why I like it as well.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of just put your own spin onto stuff.
Yeah.
And it just kind of makes it fun to keep pursuing it and stuff like that. And then also my training that I've been doing, I've been really falling in love with strength training, which I didn't care about in high school. I didn't care about trying to get stronger, trying to get bigger. I just cared about basketball. But obviously, strength training is a huge part of dunking. So like there's a correlation to it.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell in love with that. And then once that happened, I mean, my vertical skyrocketed.
Yeah.
So
we'll definitely touch back on that in one of the questions here in a minute. But another thing that I didn't say is that for basketball, it's just like constantly training. And there's not really like, you know, I don't know what to call it, but like short accomplishments, right? Like in dunking, you know, you can always do something new. And I think that's a thing that brings a lot of like, energy to sessions is that like, you're always trying to do the next thing, right? And in basketball, it's more just like, all right, I'm going to go out and practice these 3 things. And you're getting better at them, but it's not like as noticeable, I'd say. It's more gradual. For dunking, it's like, tomorrow we're going to go to the gym, and we're going to dunk, and we're both going to hit new dunks for sure. And it's going to be very cool because we have worked hard to get those new dunks, and it's going to feel really good. And I think that's kind of what makes it addicting, is it's like, hit this new thing. Well, now there's this that I got to do. And then you train for that, and then you hit it, then you have a new goal. That's why I kind of said earlier that I don't have like an end goal, is because it's always just like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing.
There are little wins that happen.
Exactly.
And also with that, it's just, again, you can look forward to something else after you hit something else. Like with basketball, it's kind of hard because, again, you have your teammates, you have your coaches, you have refs, you have all these other factors that go into it that are hard to like have your wins, because sometimes you don't get playing time or you have a bad game and then now you're like, oh, whatever. So with basketball, it's kind of hard to like kind of pick out the different wins, because also it's a team sport. So if your teammates aren't playing well, most likely you're not going to. But if it's just you, again, it's on you. And it's also, obviously there's going to be guys like when we're dunking, obviously there's people that can encourage, there's people that can give you ideas, stuff like that. But ultimately it's on you, especially with your training. Somebody can write it for you. But if you don't do the training and you don't push yourself, you're not going to get anywhere.
Nope.
So obviously we're going to touch more on the training aspect of stuff.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, since this is his video, I think we should definitely answer this. We'll keep it clean, but it just says, how the heck did Hunter gain 10 inches of vert in a year? So basically what he was just talking about is that he fell in love with the weight room. So obviously he can expand on that.
Yes.
But yeah, like once you start taking it super seriously, that's when you're going to see it. So, I mean.
So one of the other things is, obviously it's different for him because I'm also 21, he's 16. So he's still in basketball. I don't have basketball anymore. So I took basketball completely out of my life, even though that was my first love. But then I fell in love with dunking, and at practices, I just wanted to dunk. I didn't really, like, before practices, after practices, I just wanted to dunk.
Yep.
So there was that, and so I've always been in love with dunking, same with the low rims. But once I found the weight room, so I've been on THP. That's the program I'm on.
And also the reason that taking basketball out helped is because a lot of people don't consider this. If you're playing basketball, you're destroying your CNS. Like you are working very hard. And whether you can feel it or not, your body is always tired, especially if you're practicing every single day. I can attest to that a lot.
Yes.
Like if you watch in October when we dunked the second time, I hit it between the legs, and then I went, what was it, like 3 months without it between the legs? Like I just, as soon as basketball started, it was like body's tired. Couldn't really train, and it was rough.
You had to pick and choose between the 3, which is dunking, playing basketball, and lifting. Yeah, so obviously all 3 is really, really hard to do at the same exact time because, again, all those are killing your body regardless of how you do it. If you're going 100%, you're going to kill your body. It's just part of it.
Back to Hunter's lifting.
Yeah. But I am on THP, so I took a chance with them pretty early. I think it was it 2022? I think it was 2022. So I've been on it for a year and a half now.
Yeah. Sounds right.
And so I started in September of 2022. And again, I wasn't in love with the weight room. So what happened is I didn't see any gains for like the first 3 months because I wasn't consistent either. I was probably doing...
What did it say?
Recording has been stopped. It stops after 30 minutes. So it's 30 minutes.
All right, well, let's keep going.
Kind of what I was saying was that I was not very consistent in the beginning, so I wasn't seeing any gains like at all. I was just staying the same. I wasn't feeling the best, and then something just, I don't know what happened. Something clicked in my head, and I started going every single day.
Well, yeah, here's like, if you go every single day, a lot of people will do this. They will go every single day for a couple weeks, couple months even, and they won't see much happen, know? But once you start really like, if you go into the gym and you just do stuff, even if it's like good things, like you're not necessarily just going to see stuff right away because you have to prioritize your form. You have to really get your form right. And also you have to do everything with intent. That's another thing. Like you can go and do it all, but if you're not trying, doesn't really matter. And then also, if you're doing something new, which he was because he wasn't lifting consistently, and then he started lifting consistently, his body is going to be tired, and he has to like wait for it to adapt. Exactly. And then that's when he'll really see gains. So that's when it really started.
So with that, it's just I became in love with it, obviously. So for my form, the crazy thing is for power clean, I was the worst at power clean. Like, so bad. I think I was at 135 max for like, actually probably less than that at the time, but for like a year, I was at like a 135 max. And then all of a sudden, I got my form down, and I kept going lighter weight with the cleans, but just working on form for 9 months. Then 2 months ago, I got a new clean max, which was 155. And then a month ago, I got 185. And then last Friday, I got 205. So just with the clean form, I bumped up in weight that much in that little time just because my form got really good, and also I got stronger in between that time. So my form wasn't good, but so that's why I couldn't get the weight now. But now that I got the form really good, I was strong enough to be able to pull all that weight and then also have the form to be able to catch it and absorb it. So that was a big thing. And then again, I just fell in love with the weight room, and then also the dunking aspect too. I was consistent with my dunk sessions. I dunked every single weekend since I started THP. Mm-hmm. And then also another thing is that kind of helps is with the new dunk stuff is just trying to figure out new dunks to do. There was a time where I think it was 19 sessions in a row that I hit at least one new dunk. So there was that as well, which is kind of crazy. Well, Jeff on my dunk team, he's actually at like 25 or something right now sessions in a row.
Stupid.
But that was another thing that kind of helped with that as well. But that's also a reason how I got burnt out, which I can kind of explain with that. Social media, I just got burnt out. I was really fatigued. I wasn't very consistent anymore because I was more focused on the new dunks, and I wasn't getting the consistency that I needed. So I kind of got burnt out with that, but I still trained hard. I still had the dunk sessions, everything like that. But even if you get burnt out and you're seeing these, like, we can both agree on that we have these really, really bad sessions, that does not make you that dunker for that session. You have plenty of other sessions that are really, really good. Also, your training is a big part of what happens in your sessions.
Yeah, one thing Isaiah said the other day is like 50% of your sessions will be below average and 50% will be above average. So like,
exactly.
You have to just wait until, if you're having a bad session, chances are next week is going to be 1,000 times better. You will have those sessions. Like he had a session where he dunked good for 15 minutes, and then it went down.
I could barely get a one-hander, which that's like that's like a 50% jump for me.
And he hit an under both like a couple weeks before. So it's just like you have to consider, what you're doing at the moment, and don't take it too seriously. I've had sessions where I felt terrible, hit nothing, and then been like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing something wrong. I suck. But then come back the next week
and kill it.
100%.
But
back.
The other thing is that as long as the line is going like this, that's what you want. You're going to have these up and downs even if the whole time. Exactly. Like this, as long as it's going up over time, that's what you want. Yeah, you're going to have these bumps in the road. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have these little ticky-tack, whatever. You're going to have really bad sessions. You're going to have these things in your way that are going to put you down and be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, like whatever. And a lot of it is everybody's like, how do you have the motivation? It's not about the motivation. It's about the discipline that you have to doing this. Yeah. There's times where I never want to even dunk some days because I just feel awful, but I still do it, or I don't want to train. Like there's been plenty of days where I don't want to train. But again, I go back to the point where I started THP, where the first 3 months I wasn't consistent at all. I didn't see anything. And then I started, and then I saw the gains from there. And that's how I went from that. I went from, I don't even know what I was probably like 30, like low 30s, and now I could say probably I'm above 40 right now, easy. So
another thing, coming back to like motivation versus discipline, when you say like motivation versus discipline, motivation doesn't matter. That's not necessarily true, but you also have to consider, it's not like when we say that motivation doesn't always matter, it's like, if you have to sit in your bed for 3 hours until you find the perfect, motivational video to get you to go to the gym, that's when it's like, do you really want this? Yes. One thing I saw the other day was like, what is your intrinsic motivation, right? So like, I'd say my motivation to dunk is I want to be the best dunker in the world, right? That is my intrinsic motivation that keeps me going. that keeps me like, you know, I don't want to be average, right? So I go to the gym all the time, or I guess I do it in there, but whatever, you know. So like, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that like if you're motivated from something specific, that is good. Like that is very good that you have that, but just don't fall into the trap of like, you know, I have to find the perfect, you know, motivational video to go to the gym today.
Another thing is don't get too comfortable either, because that will also make you like you're not going to want to go for more ambitions and have bigger goals than you already have. Like if you get too comfortable, then it's not going to be fun anymore. That's kind of how I got burnt out. And it's just, again, there's a lot of stuff that goes into dunking, social media, you name it, training, whatever. Just you have to find a balance between everything. So that's why, again, kind of going back to our first question with God, is being faithful and having that relationship with him. He makes everything all right. Like going back to that, I always can rely on him. I have these bad days, but again, if I go to him and talk to him and just pray and whatever, then I know I'm going to be fine. You
know the good days are coming.
Exactly. So
yeah.
But all right. Go to the next one.
Do you want to do like these two quick ones and then do like one more after that?
We can hold on. Let's see.
Because those ones are just like quick, like, you know, personal.
Yeah, we can
questions.
just do that. Yeah.
And we can. You want to do one more after that, or just call it?
We can do one more after that.
All right. So next one is, what is the next dunk you really want to hit but haven't yet? I'd say under both for me. I've been not necessarily super close, but I've got the form down. Now I just got to rep it out. So we'll definitely be doing that tomorrow. Backboard between the legs, off the wall between the legs. I don't know. I got a ton of stuff, but those are the big three for me right now.
If you saw our list, you would be...
The lists are stupid. They're like 50 dunks on them. But.
Yeah. For me, I'd say there's two main ones, or I should actually say three, because I've been going for one that's really on my nerves right now. But I'd say the two that I really, really want to hit right now is under both off the backboard and win off the wall, or off the backboard too. You could do it that way, but I'd say off the wall is probably the way I'm going to hit it probably first. So I would say those two. And then the one I've been going for a lot recently and been really, really close is East Bay Scorpion. So that's another one that's
going down
really,
tomorrow.
really close. And it's been stressful to hit that. But the two ones that I haven't really been like close or anything like that, that are a little bit harder and that are going to take a little bit more time, are the win off the wall and backboard, off the backboard under both. So
the vertical goal. Short term, so like by June, July, I would like to test 43. Approach, I don't really care about standing. But that's pushing it. I mean, obviously, I'd love to hit like 45, but we're gonna go with 43 for this year, and I might not hit that, but again, that's fine if I don't hit that.
It's a goal. Again, sometimes your goals are you hit exceed them, and sometimes you under. So it kind of just depends. But as long as you have a baseline.
Yeah, then, it also really depends on how I'm feeling that day, right? Like
also, the training from here on out, too. That's another big thing.
All-time goal, 50, obviously. I mean, there's not much.
Above 50.
Yeah, 55.
55. That'd be crazy. But for me, I'd say 45 by camp because, again, I could test now, but, again, a lot of the time that I dunk back home, there's not a lot of hype, and... I'm just not, I don't practice Vertec enough. So, like, I probably should leading up to camp. But I just feel like camp is just going to be the point where, like, I can really show out and actually, like, have the most adrenaline and just everybody's there for one thing. So, but I'd say 45. I'll be very happy with the 45. But yeah. So.
What are we thinking?
Trying to see if you have any like YouTube ones or anything.
Yeah, we actually have more questions than I thought we did. About this, how about number one here?
Yeah, we can do that. That's actually a good one.
All right. Last question we'll do for this video, then we'll answer more on mine later, is from my YouTube community post. It says, do you have any elite genetics and what was your vert before you started training? I'd say definitely a lot of people will watch us and just say, oh, you know, it looks natural. You know, they're definitely just, you know, freaks of nature. And that is not true at all. Even like if you watched us a year ago, it was not that good. It was obviously, you know, probably above average.
Yeah.
But if we go back to when I was about 11, that's when I started dunking. 11 years old. I was on 7.5, and I've posted some of the videos before, but spoiler, it's not good. It just looked very unathletic. You know, my hands are terrible. But one thing that I did was I just dunked a lot for like 3-4 years straight. For about between 11 and 13, I dunked probably 5-6 days a week. And
That's crazy.
2 to 3 hours sometimes. I definitely had some 4-hour sessions in there. But most of the time, I just go out and dunk for half an hour, 1 hour. And I use a small ball. I use a normal size ball. I was on 7.5. I was on 8 feet. I was on 9 feet. I was on everything. I just had fun and kind of what I talked about earlier, tried to hit short-term goals. Like, you know, if I hadn't done a two-hander on 8 feet, I was trying to do a two-hander on 8 feet, right? It wasn't always...
Like these big goals.
I wasn't like trying to even dunk on 10 feet necessarily. It was a goal that came
later.
That came earlier than I expected, but it wasn't like on my super priority list. I was just having fun. And I got way better, and I got way more athletic too. Like a lot of people think that athleticism is just purely genetics, but I was not athletic. It is definitely genetics set your ceiling, but the training that you do and how much you do helps you hit that ceiling. So I'd say, like, you know, now, not even like considering jump height and all that, if you watched me jump when I was, you know, younger, I just looked unathletic. Like, it looked bad, you know, and now I'd say it looks decent. Not great, but it's like, you know, I definitely look athletic, and I did not used to look athletic at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For me, I mean, I have obviously athletic backgrounds with my parents and with family. Grandpa was a track guy. He actually had a school record for the longest time. Actually might still be there for track. And my dad, I mean, I know my dad could dunk, but he wasn't doing anything crazy, so there's nothing like that. But also...
Andy's mid at that. I'm trolling.
But, so, like, there is some background with that, but nothing, like, crazy. Like, I don't have any, like, professional athletes in my family or nothing like that, but...
What's up, Dante DiVincenzo? It's his cousin.
It might be, I don't know. But, and then the same thing, like, if you ever look at these pro dunkers or actually talk to them, a lot of them do exactly what we did. We dunked as a kid. We really just had fun with it. And that's how, again, we just did the biggest thing that we could do to get your vertical up is by jumping and having fun with dunking.
Didn't lift at all or he lifted, but not like crazy, correctly, I'd say, until he had about a 42-inch vert. So he got to a 42 with average genetics just by jumping, which is crazy, and it really highlights what you got to do to
exactly. But if you look at all these pros, like Jordan, like you would not like a lot of these dunkers that you see. A lot of them you don't even think can dunk, and then they just do these crazy things. Like Jordan is probably like the biggest,
blue hair dude in jeans.
Yeah, I think he's the biggest like outlier. Like I don't think nobody thinks that he can dunk, and then he just goes and does the crazy stuff that he does. But again, it's like a lot of it's like we're just like sleeper builds. Like nobody, like our genetics are just not like the best. But again, like he said, our genetics have a ceiling, and then our training helps to get to that. And I think the vertical, well, there was a second part to that. What was your vert before you started training? So I didn't like necessarily test it, but I'd say before I started like really, really training, I'd say either high 20s or low 30s.
I'd say for me, because my vert before training was when I was like 11 years old, it's not really a fair estimate, but probably like 18 to 22. I mean, obviously, there's not too much you can do about your vertical except just setting yourself up for the future at that point. But yeah, that was it.
So, but I think
it's fine. We just finished the question. So. Leave for like un minuto, and then we'll finish this, and then I'd say we do my part tomorrow because this is taking forever. I don't know how much longer I can see. My tism's acting up.
Yeah, and also is mine. But
I want to go
But we'll do some here. Let me do like a funny one because I know I got some funny ones here. So like not like serious, but like people are kind of joking. Well, so you see here, Jake Ciardo. Jake Ciardo. He was on my AAU team back in the day. He says, "How do I dunk like you?" Well, you see here.
Be a ginger.
That or just stop being.
Do your heel clicks.
Do 5,000 calf raises a day. That's how you do it.
Tib raises.
Tib raises too. Don't forget those. Those are really good.
Heel elevated split squats. Work on jump balance. Do all your plants.
But
I'm sorry, knees over toes.
But Jake, you're on Marquette, so you want to teach me how to play basketball, even though I know how. But I can teach you how to dunk. You can teach me how to play basketball. So we can do a little trade off there if you want. But
one thing that, on a serious note, is do the simple stuff. Don't do a bunch of crazy, heel elevated split squats and all that. Just
keep simple
keep
stuff.
It simple.
It's going to work. And especially if you haven't done it before, your body's going to adapt. Like with me, I didn't really do any strength training, so
it'll take a while, but just trust the process.
If you do simple stuff, it doesn't have to be these crazy things that you see on social media, but just do like there's squatting. There's obviously the power clean is a big one, but also that takes a lot of time for form. But squats, hip thrusts, there's calf raises. There's a ton of simple stuff that is in a lot of people's training that has got them the vert that they have.
Yeah,
you just have to get stronger. That's one of the biggest things is you just have to get very, very, very strong because the force you need to produce to jump very high is insane.
Yeah,
and then also you have to be able to absorb that too. So,
is the mic gonna hear that?
I don't know.
Ruby, come here. We need to show them that it's a dog and not a girl in the closet or something.
Wow. All right.
Come here, Ruby. All right, so let's film outro real quick.
Yeah.
With Ruby in my lap.
Alrighty.
Oh, come here, buddy. Just being a
little turd.
Welcome to the video, Ruby. All right, goodbye.
All right, well, never mind. But I think that's all the questions we're going to do for now on my video.
We did not think we had enough questions, but I think we have too many questions.
Yes. So we're sorry if we don't get to yours, but a lot of them kind of are similar, so you kind of get a lot of the answers through other questions. But we're going to go do his video at some point. I don't know if it's going to be today or if it's going to be tomorrow or whatever. But he's going to do a video as well, kind of the same thing, answering questions. Obviously, this is my video, so...
we'll get to different questions, so...
Yeah. And I don't know how long this is going to be, so I might edit a little bit, or I just might keep it all uncut. We'll see. But for now, we had fun doing this. So there was, like we said, we thought we had not enough questions, but we actually have a lot. So
more than we need.
But they're really good questions. I liked answering them. So
appreciate all you who sent them in. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching, guys. Tune in on my video.